Tamron issued a warning saying it's attached. So there was this concern. Nikon launched firmware version 3. If this camera is not focusing, I'm going to stay on it. My voice is important, and hear me out. Just a few weeks back, Nikon launched the firmware version 3 for Nikon Z8. And after that launch, there's a lot of conversation on whether, the third-party lenses will work or not. In fact, a lot of people tested that the Megadap adapters did not work, and some of the lenses, especially Tamron lenses, did not work. Tamron issued a warning saying, do not update your software, any firmware on the Nikon Z cameras with third-party lenses attached. So there was this concern. I'm shooting this right now on the Sony a7 IV. I recently updated the Sony a7 IV to firmware version 5. I think it's been a while since the firmware version 5 for Sony a7 IV has been released. I'm using the Samyang 50 1.4 version 2. I've checked for the latest firmware for Samyang 1.4 version 2. I didn't get any. So I assume that this is going to work, right? Now, I just did a video. Am I in focus? Let me know. Am I in focus? Am I in focus? Am I in focus? Okay, I'm basically going in and out of focus on the Sony a7 V. I'm going in and out of focus, right, guys? On the Sony a7 V, on the latest firmware, which has been out for some time, and I'm shooting this on the latest 50 1.4 Samyang. Now, this Samyang lens is an affordable lens, right? And every time people talk about the Sony system, they talk about, hey, you get a lot of third-party affordable lenses. That's one of the reasons why, that's one of the apparent strengths of the Sony system, that you can actually have so many lenses, and not all of them will have to be the highest quality of professional lenses. My question is Sony supporting enough the cameras, the flagships, the mid-level, the entry-level cameras with the firmware updates? Are Sony supporting enough the affordable third-party lenses with firmware updates? And I'll tell you why I talk about this today at this point. Look, after a few days after the release of the firmware version 3, Nikon actually pushed a firmware version 3.01 for one purpose. They fixed the problem of third-party autofocus on the Z8, and it started working. No problem right now. I actually bought the Megadap ET-Z21 Pro adapter because I thought with the firmware version 3 on the Z8, I'm not going to be able to use the other, lenses, third-party lenses. The point I was making was that Nikon quickly launched a firmware version 3.01 so that all the third-party lenses start to work with the Z8. I actually bought a new Megadap adapter, the FTZ21 Pro. I initially had the original Megadap FTZ21, and I thought probably it's not going to be supported on the Z8 because there was no firmware update by Megadap. Okay, remember this. Megadap ETZ21 version, the original one, did not push out any firmware update. So I thought Megadap is not going to provide support. I bought a Megadap 21 Pro. When I bought it, it worked really well with firmware version 3, but a couple of days later, I got this firmware push from Nikon, the version 3.01, and my old Megadap ETZ adapter is now working with all of these lenses. And I can tell you one thing, the Z8 with the Megadap ETZ21 original will autofocus with this Samyang in the same state, all right? So no firmware update from Samyang or from Megadap, but a firmware update from Nikon has ensured that all of my lenses work. But this lens is made for Sony E-mount. I don't know why Sony can't push a support for this. This is the entry-level camera, professional camera for Sony. And that's the whole point. That's the point we're making here. When you look at a manufacturer, you look at not only what they have currently with you in the market, at what price they're selling, but the intent. Do their actions feel like they care about you? If it feels like they care about you, they will continue a mount forever. They will not suddenly change the mount. If they care about you, they'll continue to add value to your cameras and lenses without asking for extra money. So remember that on this channel, when I talk about Nikon and I rave about Nikon, one of the reasons I do that is because I feel through all of their actions that their intentions are right and that the company's heart is in the right place. They are not just trying to earn the maximum amount of money from you without that money being spent on something of value. So that's how I'm going to leave this conversation. Support this channel, subscribe, and help me reach 10,000 subscribers soon. Like this video. Well, if you're incensed, if you're angry, write your comments as well. But you saw what's happening here. And don't tell me the Samyang is a cheap lens. It's a great lens and it autofocuses. There are cheaper lenses than the Samyang. There's right now Sirui and 10 other lenses. So that's really not an argument you can have, because every time a third-party lens manufacturer produces a lens, it first gets released for the Sony E mount. So I don't think price of the lens is a matter of conversation here at all. With that, I'm going to leave this and see you soon with another one. Subscribe.